The force-carrying particles exchanged between matter particles are said to be virtual particles because, unlike real particles, they cannot be directly detected by a particle detector. The people on this planet will swallow anything.
For Satanists, a human being is a wild animal that lives according to its appetite, which is what he must do. So, where did the Satanists get this belief from? There is only one answer to this question: Darwin's theory of evolution. The document entitled A Description of Satanism, published by the Church of Satan, says on this topic, all people and animals share a common source in mere biology. Satanism is the belief that humans are nothing more than higher animals. We have no special place in creation other than being lucky to have evolved and survived. The same claim made in Satanist documents can be found in books by many well-known evolutionists who blindly support Darwinism and call themselves scientists. The worldviews of Satanists and Darwinists are the same. Dr. Roald E. Christensen, who wrote a doctoral thesis on Satanism, describes this dark religion as follows. Satanism can be considered as a form of social Darwinistic religion which seeks to promote the rights of the strongest to dominate the weaker, because that is the way in which humanity will advance as a biological species and thereby take care of its role at the spearhead of natural and social evolution. Satanists take the slogan of the theory of evolution that man is an advanced animal as the basis of their philosophy, and they long to establish a world in which human beings live and behave as animals. The basic law of this world, they imagine, is the principle of social Darwinism, that is, the survival of the fittest. Another dark relationship Satanists have is with fascist ideology. It is known that fascism bases its basic philosophy on social Darwinism. According to fascism, the world is an arena of a conflict and a fight for life among the various races. For fascists, bloodshed, war, and causing pain to other people are both a sacred duty and a source of pleasure. Another point in common between fascism and Satanism is their admiration for the 19th century atheist and anti-religious philosopher Friedrich Nietzsche. Nietzsche's writings are filled with hatred for monotheistic religions. He called himself the Antichrist and went insane before he died. In his writings he attacked the moral virtues of love, compassion, and mercy, and held that, in their place, the world should be ruled by brute force, and those who had power should exercise that rule.
At the end of the Great War, many physicians, scientists, and politicians have come to see in Darwinism a formula for social and political action. Belief in the equality of man is seen as simply unscientific. The new slogan is, "The survival of the fittest." In Darwin's The Descent of Man, published in 1871, he speculates on the effect of modern medicine on the future course of human evolution. With savages, the weak in body or mind are soon eliminated. We civilized men, on the other hand, do our best to check the process of elimination. Thus, the weak members of civilized society propagate their kind. This, argues Darwin, must be highly injurious to the race of man. Excepting in the case of man himself, hardly anyone is so ignorant as to allow his worst animals to breed. Stopes is concerned with the tendency revealed by the national census for the lower classes to produce more children than the upper classes. The numbers of our population, she states, increasingly tend to be made up from the less thrifty and the less conscientious. In America, the compulsory sterilization of the mentally handicapped, of alcoholics, and of persistent criminals has been legal in certain states since 1907. Maury Stopes advocates similar policies for Britain, including the sterilization of male children with an epileptic or mentally handicapped parent, uncle or aunt. The family planning movement is part of a broader movement aimed at directing and accelerating the evolution of the human race by selective breeding. This new science calls itself eugenics. By 1918, eugenics has become so influential that the British Medical Journal publishes an article in which a noted physician can write, "There is no equality in nature among children nor among adults. And if there is to be a much-needed improvement in the race, we must breed from the physically, morally, and intellectually fit." From Britain, eugenics spreads to Germany, acquiring the new name racial hygiene.
F.A. Hayek, the great Austrian economist, had a chapter in his book, The Road to Serfdom, called Why the Worst Rise to the Top. And he was talking about government. In general, the kinds of conduct that don't get you anywhere in a business rise you right to the top in government, whether it's successful lying, demagoguery, being power mad. So these people, they love it. They love taking an innocent person and putting their boot on the neck and pushing your face in the mud. I mean, they actually like that. This is not, of course, just the American criminals. It's criminals in governments all over the world. That's what they want. And so they not only want it in order to maintain power, in order to enrich themselves, but they also want it because they like it. Yes. They like doing it. And so you can see it in the eyes. There's a wonderful, many novels written about this sort of thing. Of course, Orwell was so great, but there's something about the eyes of these people. When I was a boy, the cops were, I thought, at least in the middle-class town I lived in, pretty much decent guys. But today, the cops are not decent guys. For the most part, there are some, but they go after the damaged guys from Iraq and from Afghanistan, and they put them in there, and they treat them and train them to think of us as the people who they're occupying. They really are, whether Malcolm X was right at the time or not, he'd be right today. The cops are an occupying force.